Hey guys, today I have this 2013 GMC Acadia. It's in for an interior detail. Fortunately for me, this thing's got all-weather floor mats completely covering the back area, so I won't have to do any extractions back there. But the seats are very dirty. I'm gonna try two different methods today. I've been looking at last week, if you saw my video, or a couple weeks ago, I bought the new P&S line of products, Terminator, Carpet Bomber, and Finisher. And I watched a couple of videos from Rennie Doyle himself on how he uses that system so that you don't have to use the extractor as much. And so I'm going to try that on a couple of the seats that aren't quite as dirty as the others. The rest I'll be using the extractor on. I've got one floor mat that I do have to extract today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video.
Starting with the vacuuming of this Acadia, one thing I'm not going to be doing is removing the front seat. The owner informed me when she set up the appointment that I wouldn't be able to take out the driver's seat because of a mechanical issue with the airbag sensor. So I made the decision not to pull any of the seats. Now I know that I usually pull the seats out, but honestly, it's because I get such filthy vehicles. I'd prefer not to remove the seats as it is so much more work. One tool that allows me to get away with not removing the seats is the Tornador. You can see in this shot how it blows out all of the tight areas in between the seats and the center console. It also allows me to get at everything under the seat. I'm including just a brief portion of the vacuuming on this driver's side as I didn't do a great job with the lighting in this part. I'll be honest, as a content creator, I get used to the shots I like to use, and I'm not used to having the seats in the vehicle, so trying to find the right angle and the right lighting seemed to be a little bit of a pain. But I did want to show you the Tornador in action. As I said in the beginning, this thing had a massive floor mat that covered almost the entire rear of the vehicle. It did a great job of protecting the carpet underneath, but it was such a pain to remove that everything that was sitting on top of it was spilled out onto the carpet as I folded it up to get it out. The middle row was where most of the filth was located. The owner had warned me that her 3 kids had done a number on the seats there. Fortunately, these seats were much easier to move than the Traverse from a couple of weeks ago, and I have a lot more room to work myself into the back seat to get it completely cleaned. You'll notice that the seat components are pretty much the same as they are both owned by the same company, GM, so I had a pretty good working knowledge of how to troubleshoot them. I carefully removed the plastic trim pieces that were completely covered in all sorts of snacks and spilled drinks and set them aside for cleanup later. The problem with SUVs that have these middle seats that fold up in the tracks is that the tracks tend to fill up with nasty, sticky materials, and most owners just don't have the knowledge, the ability, or the tools to get them cleaned up. That's where I come in. You can see me using this next level tool that I found in one of the tracks. I believe this is the 3rd generation brown Crayola marker that helps me to get at those stuck-in items. This part took me the most time to get cleaned up. When I finished, I used some garage door lubricant to get them moving much more easily. This passenger seat is where I'm going to do my first attempt at following Rennie Doyle's 3-step cleaning process without using an extractor. The first step is to spray some undiluted Terminator enzyme remover on the seat. Then I'm applying some Carpet Bomber diluted 4:1. I'm then going to agitate with a drill brush to give my arms a break. I'll use some microfiber towels to wipe up that dirty solution. The camera doesn't do it justice just how much dirt these towels were able to pull from that seat, but I think the before and after pictures really are going to give you a good look at just how much of a difference it made. Finally, I'll spray on some undiluted finisher. Now, this is an important step as it neutralizes the chemical and prevents it from attracting more dirt and also from wicking into nearby fabric. The toughest part with this system for me anyway is that I tend to be a little impatient. This system requires that you spray and walk away to let the cleaner do the work. In fact, Mr. Doyle recommends that you spray the Terminator and Carpet Bomber on the fabric, and then we'll go work on another part of the vehicle, say, vacuuming the floors or something, and then you come back 5 to 10 minutes later. I wasn't so sure about all that, but it really did make a world of difference, allowing the chemical to do the work instead of the drill brush and extractor. Now, with all that being said, I did use the extractor on this middle seat just because I knew that the kids had spilled different items and I needed to pull out as much of it as I could. But for typical seats going forward, honestly, I'm just going to be using this 3-step method instead of pulling the extractor out, because really using that extractor drives that moisture and liquid down into the seats and fabric more, and it just takes that much longer to dry, and you have more risk of some of that material, that dirt wicking itself back to the surface, and then you got to re-clean the next day. This driver's floor mat's a perfect example. I sprayed this down with the Terminator and the Carpet Bomber before I started on the seats, and I just let the chemical do its thing. One side of this mat was filled with salt and rock hard, but by letting it sit for 15-20 minutes, I was able to get it looking new again. Okay, so for those of you that are big into the detailing video world, you'll know exactly who I borrowed this idea of cleaning the pedals from. Usually I just clean them when I do my extracting of the floor, but since the floor mats protected it so well, I just wanted to shoot this specific scene, getting them looking new again. Now I get to use my absolute favorite of all my new P&S products. This Xpress interior cleaner is fantastic. It foams up so nicely and has an extremely pleasant smell that isn't irritating to the lungs. I did dilute it 1-to-1 for this vehicle, but I'm not sure it has to be mixed up that strong. The first time I used it in the previous vehicle, I diluted it about 4-to-1 and it still cleaned up very nicely. I think it's a great way of saving some money as long as you're not sacrificing quality. This center console was quite a bit dirtier than it looks on camera. If you look real closely, you can see along the shifter how the lines are filled with dirt and debris. I'll zoom in here in a minute. But no matter, my McCulloch steamer is going to make quick work of it, leaving it looking new again. Now I'm getting after those trim pieces that I set aside earlier. They were absolutely filthy. So I soaked them in my Xpress cleaner, agitated them, and then used the steamer to blast away all that filth onto the table. Then of course I had to wipe it up after each one because I just can't stand working on a messy station. With the trim cleaned, I turned my attention to the all-weather floor mats. The small cracks and crevices proved to be difficult to clean, but I used my cleaning solution, the drill brush, and steamer to get them as clean as I possibly could. Now, some owners will ask me why I don't put 303 on them to make them get that shiny new look and hide the wear marks, but I do have to explain to them that most protectants leave these kinds of surfaces a little bit slick, and it'd be a real bad idea to apply it to the floor mats because it would be a safety concern. Now with the trim properly cleaned, it's time to restore it and give it some UV protection. My product of choice is 303 Aerospace Protectant. It's easy to use. As you spray it on this applicator, you wipe it onto all of your surfaces. It restores and protects your plastic and vinyls. I've got this and all my other products linked in the description below. I'm not sponsored by any of them, but they are affiliate links and the channel will make a small commission if you purchase through them. This money will be put to good use though, as I'll use it to help me cover the cost of my wife's purse addiction. I'm finishing by cleaning the glass. One trick I learned from Larry at Ammo NYC, whose videos I highly recommend if you haven't checked them out, was to use my Scrub Ninja to work the glass cleaner to make sure I remove all the haze and buildup. Then I use the squeegee and a microfiber to leave them streak-free. Since I'm still not able to work on exteriors, I like to make sure the door jambs are clean. There's something about opening your doors and being greeted by a clean and shiny door jamb that makes me feel the vehicle is completely clean. These were a little dirtier than usual, so I sprayed them with some Xpress and agitated them to loosen up things and wipe them down. I follow that up with some quick detailer to leave them smooth and glossy. It's an easy step, but one that I feel goes a long way with impressing the client. This Acadia is now safe and clean for the owner's kids to go along with it looking great. If you found the video satisfying, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe. I also have a couple more great detailing videos on the left side of the screen. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, keep it clean.